Hey, welcome back, everybody. Episode 22 of the Union 0430. We have a very first repeat guest here tonight. So another milestone for the millions and millions of viewers of the Union 0430. So the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. Rusty Heron from Heron Game Calls is here with us. We're going to get into picking his brain here in a second. But as usual, we've got we'll do a quick intro of the boys. Phil's up in Oshawa, Dave in Kincardine, Mark just outside the nation's capital, Ryan down on the east coast of Canada, and of course I'm here in Kingston, and all the way from southwestern Ontario, more American than Canadian, Mr. Rusty Heron. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Oh, no complaints here, man. Mm-hmm. No complaints here. We're good. Duck season starts on Saturday down here, so we're just I am anyways. I'm getting pretty excited and can't wait to.
Fairness, when this gets released, duck season started 2 days ago.
Good point. You know what, Phil? Not only
the hardest fucking thing I say for the next 60 minutes.
Not only are you fucking beautiful, but you're also smart. You know, and that's why we keep you around.
Fucking beard oil that does this.
Rusty, first off, we got to get it. And if you watched last week's show, you would have seen Dave and I trying to follow this trolling that you had on the go on Call Nuts, because it was awesome. How often do you get these requests of people that, you know, they love you, they love all your stuff, they could really help you and getting your name out there? You know, how many of these requests do you get?
So via Instagram, 3 to 4 a week. Wow. And they all have the same reoccurring theme. It's a young lad that doesn't know anything about my company whatsoever, that's got 200 followers and thinks for some unknown reason that he's going to make me the next multi-billionaire of the world, I guess, because the way they talk, it's like they're going to do the world for you. And
but I mean, he wants to rep your duck calls though, man.
Yeah, especially the triple read.
The unsung hero of the Heron Game Call lineup.
Yeah.
To be fair, though,
it's kind of rather unfortunate that somebody tipped him off and he was able to figure it all out, because he was going to get a glitter bomb from me. Because that's my new thing. There's myself and a handful of other call makers that we're not fed up with this, because it's just part of the business. And once you've been in it a little while, you understand that these kind of things are going to happen. And so a bunch of us have teamed up, and every now and then we just select one lucky individual and put a little sparkle into their life.
Surprise.
So, I sure hope they open it in their car or their truck.
Oh, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. To be fair, though, when you admit to the guy that you got a place in New Zealand and in New York and a private jet to fly between the two, you do sound like a big wheel.
Well, I mean, goose call sales are just pimping. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah, it's, Facebook, other social media outlets, I really don't find I get more than a few a year. And anybody that knows me knows that I don't have a pro staff at all anyways. Mm-hmm. But it's just, Instagram seems, at least in my opinion, and I don't know how to use the platform properly, and I'll be the first to admit it, but it definitely seems to me, based on my business experience since 2016, that it's very, very aimed towards the younger generation of hunter, right? It's the piles over the smiles kind of avenue. And I just find that there's nothing wrong with being that young guy that's gung-ho, that, wants to get on board, but there's some lessons to be learned to any young kid that watches this show, and it's to immerse yourself in a business that you want to represent, so that when you go to that business to ask, hey, can you do anything for me? You need to be able to spell out exactly what you can do for them first.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's 100. Sorry, Dave, go ahead, buddy.
Well, Damien and I talk about this all the time because, believe it or not, like, we get it through Punisher every now and then.
I believe it.
And it's one of those things that, like, don't tell somebody what you can do for them. Build your brand and have them come to you. And it's the same with us. Like, build our brand and have other people want to be part of that brand. You know what I mean? And you've built such a following with your Heron game calls and stuff that's exactly what's happening. People are trying to be part of your brand, but they need to build their brand to be part of that, right?
Well, to me, the only way you're ever going to be really successful as a pro staffer is to have a brand you can sell to the companies. I mean, you couldn't have hit it any better. I'm not any interested in the average Joe that doesn't have a following all on his own or her own already. I want somebody, and this is just speaking business terms, because I've been involved in this industry since the early 2000s, so I know a little bit on how it works. And, the average individual thinks that, pro staffs are great, I'm going to get a bunch of free stuff. Mm-hmm. You never get anything free.
No.
If I'm giving you, just for argument's sake, and I'll clarify again, I don't have a pro staff. Stop messaging me.
Don't forget to add his Instagram. Add him on Instagram.
If I did, you could send me a message at Heron Game Calls. And if I'm going to give you $1,000 worth of calls, you're going to give me $10,000 worth of effort. That's just the way the business really works. Mm-hmm. Nothing is free, And it's funny because every now and then you do have somebody that understands all of it, the big picture, and they come at you with hard numbers. And that's where most of the kids, and they're young, so I get it. And I'm not trying to, squash their enthusiasm, but you really need to be able to sit down and bring numbers to the table. Age demographic, how many people, et cetera. Like, there's a science behind it. And if you have all those little boxes checked off, believe it or not, you don't have to go looking for any company. They're going to come knocking on your door, offering you something better than that you would have ever asked them for at all. Because if you're that good, nobody wants you to be a pro staffer. They want you to be an employee. There's a big difference.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good point. And I really like that point about, and Dave brought it up too, is we stopped knocking on doors a while ago because we want people to knock on our doors and ask us, hey, listen, how can we be a part? And that was the thing. And Rusty, I know I told you before, that was the thing that I really liked about Challenger Ammunition was they reached out to us. We didn't reach out to those guys, right? So they wanted us to be part of them and grow with them. So that, and obviously that means a lot to us because, it's a little bit of validation that you're actually doing something right. So,
but on top of that, they have a good product. I mean, my kid did
100%
stuff.
Yeah. Oh no, it is. It's awesome. Sorry.
And it's not just about the Instagram followers. Like, there's also, they have people that are on pro staff that go to events for them. But generally, those people are found with, like, when we look at that, it's the people that every event you go to, they're there too anyhow. So that's how you kind of meet there. It's not, sorry, I was just trying to add another point to Instagram followers is an easy one, but get yourself out there, put the boot work in, do stuff, do something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
One of the biggest issues, like, these days, a lot of guys
can hardly hear you, Phil.
Can you hear me now?
Jesus.
Is that better?
Yeah.
I can hear you, buddy.
Okay. Only Damien. I think the biggest issue, like a lot of guys are putting the cart before the horse, right? Like, you know, a lot of guys are, reaching out, oh, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this for you. Well, so far you've done nothing for the company to begin with. Like the biggest thing you need to start with is like, you find that brand, that company, whatever, that product that you believe in and use day in, day out. And, you have an honest opinion about, what they put out and so forth. And it's like, hey, look, like I've been using this stuff like 5, 6, 8 years. I honestly believe in your company and this and that. And then like, that's, the logical way to work yourself into say like, a pro staff position where it's like, okay, I don't know what the fuck you sell. I don't know anything about your company, but give me some free shit.
I love your triple read duck call, Phil. I love it.
Fuck yeah. Like Rusty, if I can get my hands on one of those SRT wood duck calls, buddy, I'll blow that shit up on the WeberNet.
The WeberNet, nice. Word of the day, children, WeberNet. But Rusty, you brought it up and you said, you're not trying to discourage any younger kids or anybody really into reaching out. And I know what you mean when you're saying that, but it's also a good point that, you know what, we people don't tend to say what needs to be said anymore. Do you know what I mean? So
They're too worried about being politically correct.
That's right. So you need to say it out and just say it out front and just listen. You don't have anything. There's a million of you guys out there. I need someone that's going to do something for me. And you got to tell people that. Not that we really have that conversation that often, but I know you do. And these kids, I know your passion is there and you love it. And I know that this fucking crazy passion is ridiculous expensive and any help you can get is awesome. But just before you send out that email or that direct message, just, give it a quick thought. Are you able to provide something to this company that you're reaching out to?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to take the ambition away because although I might be 43 and getting older by the second, I remember what it's like to be that young kid. I totally get it. The difference between, I call them the 1%ers, is 1% of those young kids will message me and know everything there is to know that you can read online about my business. They are immersed in it. If I have a staff, that's the kind of individual I want representing me. But what these kids have to realize is, waterfowling as a whole or anything in the outdoor industry is extremely expensive. There's no doubt in my mind. It's crazy. But you have to understand when you're doing these kind of things that everybody talks and everybody kind of knows everybody in this industry. And it's all about building relationships. And you're not going to get a hold of me and get every call I make free of charge. Here you go, man, put me on Instagram a couple times. That's not going to happen. But I understand that the youth of this sport are vital. And I do what I can to attempt to take care of as many of them as possible. But one of the biggest things I like to tell them all is just make sure you go into it with your eyes wide open, because you don't want to immerse yourself in something just so you can say you got something for free. You want to put yourself behind a brand that you can really, really relate to and you can grow with.
And it's probably good for you that, like, anytime I post a picture of my lanyard, which I don't post a ton of pictures of my lanyard, but there's always a heron on there, and there's always moon pie on there, and then there's one of my shitty calls that I've made on there. But, like, there's a lot of guys that it's free advertisement for a guy like you, right? So that's kind of your own pro staff, is people posting that for free, right?
Well, no, I've always said I don't want a pro staff because having been there and done that back in my contest days, it's a two-way street of getting used, right?
But what-
Right? So you think you're getting the upper hand on call maker A that sponsors you. Man, I'm on call maker A's pro staff. Look at me. I'm the man. I'm a hero. But then the flip side is call maker A is, I'm going to stick it to you and get every little ounce of energy out of you for my business that I can. And then when you're done and you're washed up, because every contest caller gets there, there's the door and where's the next kid. And I don't ever want to treat anybody like that.
No, I meant it more that like you got a lot of people that are just posting your calls because that's what they use on a daily basis, regardless.
Oh, sure.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's definitely true. But I never feel like that's even remotely close to a pro staff or anything like that, because I won't ever go out of my way and ask somebody, hey man, can you post up that you're killing geese with my calls or whatever, right? The most you're ever going to get out of me if you post pictures like that is once in a rare blue moon, you're going to get a message from me, hey, is it okay if I use that picture? Right? Because I like to try and this goes against the grain in business, but I want to build my absolute very own accolades. I really don't want a ton of help getting there, because when anybody has questions, when anybody has comments, concerns, etc., I want them all to filter to me instead of being the spider web where they filter everywhere else. And by the time, it's like that story when you're sitting around a fire. If there's 20 of you sitting around a fire and the first person in the U shape starts a story, by the time it gets to the other end, it's completely different. And so I want to eliminate the 18 people in between the first and last and just go direct, because I can control everything that way. I feel, this business for me is more a labor of love than it is anything about trying to make money. So when stuff leaves here, I want it to be right. If something's wrong, I want to make it right. I don't want somebody to say, oh yeah, and then me find out about it 3 months later. I want to be the person that can tackle every issue head on and can represent my product to the best of anybody's ability, because it's my own. If that makes a whole lot of sense.
I think the fact that you don't have a pro staff and you still get a lot of these like guys promoting your stuff. I mean, there's an authenticity to that too, and it's kind of like, it's pure and it's genuine, because these guys they're not looking for handouts. Because they're not going to get one because you don't have pro staff. So they're saying, hey, I run Heron game calls, and because I believe in it, because I finish geese with it. So I think that's kind of a little more of a true testament than say I run, call A, so I think that's kind of a genuine compliment to your company when you really look at it from that perspective. And so it's something you should be proud of, really.
Yeah, no, I definitely view it the exact same way there, Ryan. And the other thing that goes with that is, if I was to put out an application, hey, I'm accepting pro staffs, and take on 3 for every state, so that's 156 in America, and then another just 20 in Canada, just for argument's sake. And if every one of those guys manages to sell 10 calls a year, the level of attention to detail for me all of a sudden decreases immensely. It's tune them, get them out, tune them, get them out, tune them, get them out. It's not tune them, set them in a rack, come back to them a day from now and make sure they're good, set them back in a rack, come back to them another day or two from now and make sure they're perfect before they leave here. Now, granted, there's going to be things that leave here that aren't perfect. They're perfect for me. It's not always perfect for everybody else. But I like being able to spend 20 minutes tuning a goose call just on a singular call, rather than taking 20 minutes and trying to tune 20. So, and I want people that use my product to want to use it, not because they got a discount code, because they get X amount free. I want them to use it because they believe in it. Because if you don't believe in it, there's no sense in using it, because it's always going to be in the back of your head that, oh, those ones didn't finish because of this. So I want people to believe in my product. And that's kind of how I am. So.
Funny you say that, like, because like I'll be probably the thousandth person to say it. Like, you're by far one of the biggest ambassadors of the sport and the art of goose calling and goose call making. And like there's a number of guys out there like if you follow that brand and you believe in it enough, you'll just do what you can for that product on its own. Like you look at for not to toot the horn, but for example, that photo that I posted the other day of me in the layout blind, you see clear as day that Heron game call laying right on my chest. How many guys are going to go through the detail? Like obviously that's staged photo, but how many guys are going to go through the detail of making sure things are prim and proper, to highlight certain products, and obviously your goose call being obviously one of the many facets in that photo, but like it's front and center in that picture. And
Yeah.
I paid for that. I had to pay, like obviously I bought the call used regardless. I paid for that call. I use that call. I believe in that call. I'm going to promote that call. Like it's a gentleman's understanding, so to speak, right? Like, we don't ask for anything. Like, you believe in that product, you'll promote it without being asked for anything or asking for anything or whatever, right?
Yep. And what's crazy, and I think Dave would agree with me, is there's going to be a handful of people tonight that are going to learn that sometimes you get when you don't ask. That's just the way life works. So, but yeah, no, like one thing, I've got a bunch of young guys that are blowing the call. And I mean, I got a bunch of old guys that blow the call too. And it's awesome. I love everybody, but it's crazy to see the difference in maturity, because I never saw it when I was younger, and I see it clear as a bell now, right? Because you're going to send me a picture, the call is going to be centered, which is phenomenal, and you're going to post a picture, but we're mature enough, and this isn't a knock on any young kid that's going to watch this, it's not about the piles, regardless of whether you made a huge one or not. Like the pictures like that is a picture that I'm going to want to use in comparison to the pictures I've been getting all of this early season of this call laying against the most mangled goose head you've ever seen. Oh, it called him in. So there's an element of class that I want to maintain, because when somebody views my products, there's always the possibility that they are anti-hunters. And I can respect the fact that people don't want to hunt. I may not completely understand the psyche of it, but I can respect the fact that they don't want to. But I want an anti-hunter, somebody that just absolutely loves geese and hates the fact that people shoot them, to be able to look at the picture and just say, oh, that's nice, and carry on. Because I don't want the negative press that can come from it if it looks like a scene right out of Friday the 13th.
No, good
It's
point.
just a small little respecting. Like a great case in point is my One Canada Post lady is absolutely one of the biggest animal lovers going. And so every time I walk in there, she goes, oh, please tell me. And I go, yes, they won this week, Lori. I didn't get any. They won. Right? She knows I'm lying, but I know that she doesn't want to hear the gore part of it, right? So the idea is just to be able to just flow with the wave rather than crash against it.
That's like my son's first bird that he ever shot for a duck happened this weekend. But the first one that he shot, which is the one he was more proud of, the head was not something that I would show most people. But it's something that it's a big moment for him that I want to put on my Facebook because I'm proud of it. So the second bird he shot is the one we used for the photo because it definitely didn't look as bad. And people got to start understanding that part of the whole thing, is that we got to start posting pictures that don't show the mangles and the gores and that part of it, so that we can advertise more with the hunting industry, so that we get more young recruitment and all that out there too, right?
And even
sorry.
the young recruitment, the female recruitment, the adult males that have never been exposed to it, right? That might come out of a business type background, white collar, exposed to it in the right way. To me, the only blood I want anybody to see with a Heron game calls picture is if I'm showing off a dinner plate of medium rare duck breast or goose breast or something, right? So
If you look at any African outfitter and you see them have a picture, it's always the same pose with whatever animal it is. It could be a water buffalo, could be anything. It's the exact same pose, and that animal is pristine. You don't see anything. If there was a hole in it, you don't see where it is, and the animal's cleaned off perfectly. There's no mud on it, nothing. It's just a perfectly clean animal with the person sitting behind it for the photo, and you'll see that from every African outfitter. They want to put a positive spin, and not everyone agrees with that, but
as much as they can. Yeah, you're right.
as they can on that kind of thing, right?
Well, we've been saying it on this show ever since we started that we've been our own worst enemies when it comes to this, and touching on that, and these pictures of birds with their heads blown off, and then Mark, like you look at those fellas in Africa, like they are probably the most scrutinized bunch of hunters in the world. So they better be doing things right, because there's a whole hockey sock full of people just waiting to jump down their throats, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it's a really good point, and something, I think I sort of kind of done subconsciously, but I never really put a whole pile of thought into it, but it makes for a really good conversation and a real good lesson that all the listeners could take from this.
And there's a lot of lessons from the African, like you watch some of those movies and videos and documentaries or whatever you want, and when you go and you hunt in Africa, like the people that you don't see all around that animal are waiting for that picture to be taken, and then they take every usable piece of that animal and they use it. And here we're using, here we're using, like, sorry, stupid dog. We're just getting the meat, right? And, like for turkeys, I try and give away as many of the feathers as I can to fishermen, and I try to find stuff. But in Africa, a lot of that stuff gets used, and they very much respect their game there.
Rusty, I wanted to bring up there about a week and a bit ago. We were chatting online, and we were asking you what you're up to, and your young fella was out chasing what he normally is chasing, and then you were getting stuff squared away for early goose. How was early goose for you guys down there?
So early goose for little Benny was really good. He had a lot of fun. Him, and he's got two little buddies that he's been rolling with. Like they're a crew,
Mm-hmm.
They're that young macho kill crew. Yeah, West Side, the whole 9 yards. So the week before season, I put 6 tanks of fuel through my truck, and I never was looking for a goose for myself once. I had a pretty big agenda that I knew on this year was going to be extremely tough to pull off. I just recently purchased, and I'm going to throw a plug in here, even though there's zero affiliation, but I just recently purchased 10 dozen dive bomb silhouettes. And so I set out this early goose season, and call me whacked in the head, I wanted to land a Jack Miner band right in the silhouettes and then walk it out of the decoys and let it go fly away. Now, I know you're looking at me like, what? So,
I'm totally looking at you like,
I'm waiting for it too.
So if I never shoot another band again, by the way, thanks Kent Cartridge, because you fucked me, because I would have had one this year. But when the shell don't go bang, the bird flies away no matter what. Challenger hit me up. But, shameless plug, right? I was really hopeful to get a good enough picture of the band. The way a Jack Miner band works is the serial numbers on it don't wrap all the way around the band. If you can get the band on the seam and get a good picture, you can pull all the numbers off of it. And so my big crazy dream was to be able to get a picture of the band as I walked this bird out so I could post up on my Facebook page. Whoever shoots goose 110437, just know that you're welcome. And I thought, you know, like, because everybody's, oh my God, band, reload. You know what I mean? Like, seriously, if you had artillery, everybody. So I want to be the polar opposite of that. Don't get me wrong, I got a lanyard full of things laying around here somewhere, but they don't mean to me to kill them what they did when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I'd much rather see somebody that's never had the opportunity to harvest one get one than myself shoot 4. So I just thought it would be cool to call a bird in, land it right in the decoys, and then walk it out. You know, it's catch and release band hunting.
That's cool.
That was so hard for Phil to hear. He left. So
well, so I managed to put some birds in the decoys. I did not manage to put a miner right on the ground. I did have 2 miners inside of 10 yards in the air that I did not shoot at because I wanted them to touch down. I finally said piss on it on the last day and said I'm going to shoot one because they have only banded like 63 so far this year. And my gun went click. Once again, Challenger, hit me up. I don't like it when the gun goes click. So, fucking Kent. But anyways.
This is why
so that was the early season plan. So I didn't really shoot a whole lot of much of anything. But I set out with an agenda and I stuck to it. I think between me and the one guy I hunt with quite a fair amount, we killed 10 or 15. And we could have killed a lot more, but he understood what I was up to, and he understood the message that it could send to the youth, right? Like, there's nothing I hate more, and it's just a personal thing. When you get online and, you know, you click on YouTube and you see these young guys that are video, you know, aficionados, and a single comes in and there's 8 guys, and because son of a bitch, it might be banded, instead of one guy coming up and going bang, it's and the bird gets all tore up, you know. It just, to me, it portrays the wrong image. So I wanted to let everybody know, and I wanted to be able to show it that it's okay to let them fly.
That's a good. That's a good lesson to pass on. I'm shooting a band though, because I don't have a band. I don't have one on my lanyard yet. Not a goose band.
What? Oh yeah, no, not a goose.
No, not a goose band.
Bands are product of your geography.
Yeah, I got
it. Bands are not a product of the caliber of hunter that you are, Annie.
No, absolutely. No, you're absolutely right. Rusty, for the people that are listening and they don't know, you're a moderator on a Facebook group called Call Nuts. And you know what? It's only been probably the last 5-6 months that I've been a member of Call Nuts, and I've been following it and stuff. And the quality of people that are on there, like the quality of product that's being pushed on that forum is amazing. Like, and it really is a fairly tight-knit community with, you know, yourself and the callers, right? Like there's always the guys like me that are commenting in, but you guys are really the call makers are really what holds that group together. And it just seems like it's getting more and more popular. Like, what do you attribute the popularity to?
Rusty alone.
Guys that want to help.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I go back to the early 2000s when I was a competition caller, you couldn't get an ounce of information out of more than 1 or 2 call makers or supposed call makers. Nowadays, with the advent of Facebook, the internet, whatever, people like John Stevens, who arguably is the owner of one of, if not the biggest call company in the world, being Rich and Tone, RNT. He understands the principles that if you don't pass all this information on to the next generation in hopes that they pass it on, that this great tradition could just dry up and go away and never come back. And on a business side of things, if all of us here, if Damien, Mark, Phil, Dave, and Ryan all start making calls, and I have to coach you guys from grabbing a piece of wood, going to buy everything. But if you guys all start making calls in your first year of business trying to sell them, you sell 25, I guarantee out of every 25 you sell, just because I'm a fellow Canadian and we all work together, that somebody that buys calls from you guys is going to turn around and buy a call from me. It's like decoys. You're not just going to go buy X brand. You want a vast assortment. And it's good for everybody. Like, I love it when guys call me and say, hey, I want a duck call. Can you make me one? And I say, well, you know, I just had a jig made off the duck call I just recently made, but I only had it made just for messing around here at the house with. But here's a list of 35 names of guys I can highly recommend you buy a duck call from. And here's another list of 30 more names of guys that I don't own any of their duck calls, but I think they sound really good. Maybe you should give them a hit. You know, it's just everybody, by and large, works together. And it's just better for everything. And if you can go back on Call Nuts, which is the brainchild of a gentleman by the name of Steve Carter. And if he ever heard me say gentleman, he'd just die laughing in his chair. But I started making calls in 2016. And the complexity of the builds from then till now is absolutely night and day. And it's crazy to think where this wonderful little passion and hobby for myself and many others is going to go in the next 10 years with the amount of young people and older people getting into it. Because you can get into it, you know, you're not going to have the best of the best equipment, but you don't need that to start. But if you've got $2,000 sitting around that you really don't need that bad, I mean, you can become a call maker overnight anymore. So there's enough information out there to help you. And if you can't find the information, at Heron Game Calls on Instagram, hit me up. Be glad to help anybody, because I absolutely love it. It never feels like work, even when I'm working on orders and stuff out in the shop. It's fun. And if you keep it fun, regardless of whether you run it as a business or not, you know, it's a way to extend waterfowl season all year, 365 days, right? It's like Punisher, right? Like, you don't just think Punisher September, October, November, December, a little bit of January. Mm-hmm. You think about it in April and June, and right? It's just a way to extend, and you meet more friends that are very like-minded. I mean, the duck hunting community, you guys all know it's small, and we need to make it bigger. Yeah. Because when you make it bigger, it gets better.
Yeah, and we need to make it bigger. You're right. And we need to make it better, and we need to make it so that, you know what, we don't have to be assholes to one another. And that's the thing that irritates me the most. And I know Ryan having hunted here for a few years and stuff, and he's seen it compared to hunting down on the East Coast and stuff. You know, we aren't doing ourselves a service in the way we handle a lot of things. So great lessons and great topics to bring up and certainly get people thinking. And I hope, you know, if you can just turn one asshole into a good dude from listening from the show, I'd say we've accomplished something. I'm gonna change gears here a little bit, just because for the past almost week now, I've had this up on Instagram, and we're finally going to talk about what I'm hoping everybody is anxious for, and that is the release or the first time anybody's seeing or hearing the Rusty Heron SRT1 call that he's made that's customized for Punisher Waterfowl. So we'll have 10 of these bad boys that'll be available for sale on Monday when this show drops. And Rusty, Dave and I can't thank you enough because you were super awesome to just, yeah, boys, what do you need? You need it. And even when we passed out ideas, you were like, you know what, fellas, it's cool, but I don't think that's what you want. And you always steered us in the right direction. And you, again, testament to what you were saying, you made sure that the product going out the door was as close to perfect as you could get it. So over to you to sort of kind of talk about this beautiful piece of work that you've done, and we'll just sit back.
Well, as the great Ron Popeil from infomercials when we were younger would say, but wait, there's more. Because, and you're laughing and you don't even know, but me and you talked, Damien,
Yeah.
and you said that when this comes out, we're going to do a little series.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a little series on learning how to call together.
Yeah.
Well, there isn't 10, there's 11. And what we're going to do is we do this series. I want anybody and everybody that wants in on this to tag you at Punisher Waterfowl and me at Heron Game Calls on Instagram and post videos as we go through learning how to blow a short reed goose call. If you start in the beginning and work all the way to the end, the most improved caller, which is going to be whoever pays attention the most, is going to get that 11th call.
Wow.
Very cool. Very cool.
Nice.
That is
Very
cool.
Nice.
Now, I've got a feeling that, I mean, it could be Ryan that might be the most improved caller. I'm really not too sure it's going to be Dave.
What?
Savage.
Sometimes you get stuff when you don't ask, Phil. I purposely did Still Orange on the band just for you, Mark.
Attaboy.
And well, Damien, that
That's,
one's for you, my friend. But now, because we're all friends, we all know that, you know, goose calls are all great, but they're only good if you got something to drink with them. So every call, every single one of them,
Jumping cheese.
coming with a 30-ounce Arctic tumbler with
unreal.
both your and my logo on them. That way everybody can enjoy a cold beverage
That's amazing.
after they've practiced up. So what we have here, and I'm not usually one to brag up on my stuff because it's just not how I work,
Well, you should.
but this is a brand new cast acrylic rod from Dead Shot Polymers in a woodland camo type pattern. Each one of these calls, if you can see here, they're unique to each other. It's a green, a black, and a tan swirl, but no two look the same. Some will be more brown and tan, some will be more green and black. This stuff is, this is all accolades to them. This is cutting edge technology on the acrylic side. And we're the first ones to have this. No other call maker on the planet right now has this camo material. So if you want to be one of the first ones to get it, you better be one of the first 10 to get a hold of Damien and Dave and Mark and Phil and Ryan and say, hook a brother up. As always, I mean, I don't have anything in writing, but I stand behind all my calls. So if you have an issue with it, we're going to take care of you. But on the engraving side, we got local 0430 on the insert, because that's what this is. The Punisher logo, and I don't know if my 1973 iPhone can really pick up on the logo on the inside, but it's very textured and looks really good.
Yeah.
I can honestly say, out of all the calls I've ever engraved, this is by far the coolest logo I've ever had to work with. I won't lie, it was an absolute pain in the rear to color fill and polish out. I spent over a week doing 17, 16 calls.
Yeah.
But they're done. And then on the band, just so everybody knows where it came from,
Absolutely.
I just have the good old logo there. So that's what we have. The SRT-1 is by and large my most versatile short reed goose call. There isn't a situation that you can really put it in that it doesn't do well in. It may not excel in certain situations, but for an everyday, I'm going to run one goose call on my lanyard to cover a whole gamut of goose hunting situations. It is the absolute first call I reach for. And in talking with Damien here and the boys, we just feel it's the right call to offer up to everybody.
Absolutely.
So I'm not 100% sure what these guys are going to charge, but what I can tell you is they're going to hold resale value if you don't like it. If you don't like the way it's tuned when it shows up for you, you get a hold of me. I'll make it right, and I'll make it right on my dime. All you'll have to do is get it back to me. But I'm pretty sure that's not going to be a problem.
So the price.
They're going to kill.
They're going to kill.
Yep.
So that's a really good point, and I got a lot that I want to say on this, but a very good point that the SRT-1 is exactly what Rusty said. It's the everyday call, and I know you're going to fall in love with it. And if it doesn't, if you are that type of person and you say, I need something else to do this for me, well then, luckily enough for you, Rusty has the SRT-2, he has the SRT-3, and he's got options. And you can call him and you can tell him exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve, and he's going to work with you, which is a testament, Rusty, that, you know what, I didn't know what you were going to do with that 11th call. And to be honest with you, I knew about Mark, Phil, and Ryan getting a call, and I was blown away. The mugs blew me away. And now that you're another call that you've made that you're going to give away, buddy, I honestly do not know what to say, and thank you doesn't seem like strong enough word. And you've done this without, I know, we just asked you to do 10 calls. And I'm floored. Dave?
Yeah, buddy. I know we talk a lot back and forth about this stuff, but I was still pretty floored every time I talked to you about the time and the effort and the care and the love that you put into every single one of these calls. And to do that, I'm blown away, buddy.
And to keep with the theme of because it's your calls and they'll always be your calls, your price is set. So the price on these calls will be $160 American. And that's the price that you charge for your calls. And these are your calls. So that's the price that these calls are going to be sold for as well. $160 American dollars. And that's it. Boys, I'm going to, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
I just wanted to make sure that you actually put the triple read into Phil's call.
I was actually thinking about going quad because he missed last week's show.
You know what? Let's because I know you fellas want to. So Phil, anything you want to say to Rusty? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but
not at all, right? I'm at a loss for words. Rusty, like, the same men. Thank you.
Mark?
Man, this is unbelievable. I was not expecting this. Dave, now I know what you said when you told me to stop asking questions.
That's a nice version.
That was a nice version.
Hold
yeah.
on. Damien, before you go any further, has anybody sent Ryan that video yet?
Yeah, I sent it to him the other day. I sent the video and I said, "Hey Ryan, I believe the gauntlet has been dropped," and I think he's up to the challenge.
So yeah, Rusty, I'm floored, man. It's an incredibly classy move on your part. I appreciate it. Forever grateful. And as soon as it shows up, I'm gonna drop my version, and we can see who is the.
You can root it up, baby.
Oh, buddy.
I heard that on last week's episode, and I'm like, man, that song used to pick me up from like the absolute worst days in the pits of hell at work.
That
it was
song
like, okay, I'll put this on and it'll get me through it. And then I heard you guys say Sandstorm, and I'm like, I can do that.
So tomorrow's post.
That song has caused and solved many hangovers alike for me. So.
Oh, 100%.
Tomorrow's post, so Friday morning's post on Instagram will be that video of you, Rusty, with the caption that Rusty has thrown down the gauntlet to Ryan. So we're waiting on Ryan's response on this. So everybody will get to see what we're talking about on Friday, which I guess is backwards, Phil? Because they're going to be hearing about it on Monday, but they'll see it on Friday.
Hey, Rusty, I don't know if these guys knew that it was Ryan's call, because even Damien this morning, maybe 2 hours ago, sent me a message. Holy shit, did you see Ryan's name on that call? I'm like, yeah, that's the first thing I saw. He fucking put it up to the camera right away.
Yeah, I didn't notice it.
I was oblivious to it.
That was the call out right there. That was the call out.
Yeah.
That's funny. Dave, you want to tell everybody how so Monday after this goes live, do you want to let everybody know how they're going to be able to get these calls?
After Damien posts this video up on Monday morning, the first 10 people that say they want one and send me a message at the Punisher Waterfowl, whether you send it through Instagram or through Facebook, send it to either one of those, and the first 10 messages that are time-stamped, I will respond, you got one. That's the easiest way to do it.
Yep. Awesome. So, really the last thing I got to talk about, Rusty, and we got to back up to what you were saying about dead shot polymers. And then, a couple weeks ago, you had done a video on call nuts where you had talked about how you reached out to dead shot polymers, and you were like, listen, this is what I want to do. You worked with them to create this blank that you've come up with. It really is, and people, it's going to be hard to see until you actually see two calls side by side, that no two calls are alike. But you've now created this amazing relationship with Deadshot Polymers, who's doing amazing things and sort of setting a very, very high bar right now for anybody to come in. Why Deadshot? Like, why were those the guys that you reached out to?
So there's a couple big reasons, and I'm going to mention this right off the hop, because if I don't, I just look shady. One of the two owners of Deadshot also happens to be my CNC machinist.
Okay.
So there's a natural want for me to support somebody that I consider a friend, and a damn good friend. I consider him a brother. I'd jump on a plane and fly to Texas tomorrow for the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But the big picture, aside of looking selfishly, because believe it or not, being selfish had zero part in it, quiet Dixie, is that they're for the little guy. They are cutting edge with what they are trying to do. And when it comes to call makers, they just genuinely care. They're in their first year of business. Anybody that understands business at all understands that in your first year of business, it's an absolute roller coaster, and you're going to leave a whole lot of people disappointed. It's just the way life works. You don't hit home runs right out of the gate every single time. You swing for that fence, but it just doesn't always happen. Well, the thing with these guys is there is one other major player in this industry, and I'm not even going to name names, but it's like call makers are an afterthought to them. And we're lucky that they supply material for us. That's the way they've made us feel for years now. Now, there are a select few that have great relationships there. But by and large, this material, if I wanted that to come to fruition, well, you better have 6 figures behind you to front it. You know how much money I need through Deadshot to front this? Under $2,000. I do that with the other company, they're going to release it to the world at the same time that I get it. Deadshot, hey, you know what, Rusty? Yeah, we can work together. We can probably do something like that. Now, a sheet is 14, I believe, 1.5 inch rods, 4 feet long.
Okay.
When I do a color like this, because I've got other colors in the works, if they like it, they're going to bring some in for themselves as well.
Right.
But they will make a verbal contract with you that, hey, listen, you know, hey, Woodland Camo is going to sell. If we can knock it out of the park, we're going to want to sell it. You're only getting a sheet. I mean, you can't be a material supplier and give somebody rights to a color if they're going to buy one sheet worth. If you know you can sell 50 to 100 sheets a year. I mean, this color is going to take off and sell like wildfire all across the game called board for them. But so what they did is they made sure I was the first one to have it. They made sure that they haven't even released it yet to make sure that I could bring all my calls to market and get a chance to be that first person and generate that 20 to 27% more in sales by being the first guy to the plate, right? They are going to sell it to everybody, and I know it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter to me. They have gone out of their way to work with me because there's lots of people in business, and I'm sure you guys all probably would have examples of this just from talking to friends. You bring an idea somewhere, and they squash the little guy, right? These guys don't squash the little guy. They champion him. And that's one of my biggest reasons for getting behind them is if you can dream it up, they legitimately are going to go out of their way to try and make it happen. And it's a minuscule investment. Like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to squash any little kid's dream right now, but $2,000 in the grand scheme of life is nothing. I think we can all agree to that. It seems like a lot when you're 16, 18, 20 years old, but in the grand scheme of life, it's nothing.
No.
Right? And so if you can come out with something like this, and even if you only have it for a week, 10 days, that's all you need to make your splash.
That's right.
So
100%. 100%. Again, testament to surround yourself with good people. You know, you treat people, good people tend to return the favor, right? You'll always have the asshole that'll try to take advantage of you, but the law of averages says that you treat people good, they'll treat you well, and it's good to hear about this relationship that you built. And I agree. And Dave knows when it comes to calls, I'm not a big swirly or acrylic fan, and I like solid colors when it comes to calls. But when when you started talking to me about this, I love it, and I think it is, and they know it, and the beautiful thing is that you understood exactly what their plan is down the road, and they knew exactly what your plan was. So it's a win-win on both sides for everybody, and you know, a solid relationship that you just continued on. You already had it, but you know, just further that relationship, and it's good to see. It's good to see people helping people.
Well, like we talk all the time. My CNC machinist himself, his name's Chris Tavo. and I always like to say, and anybody that knows me will reiterate this, I'm just a real small fish in a great big pond or a great big sea as a call maker. And my CNC machinist always rams this one right back at me every time I say it. He says, yeah, but one day you're going to be a shark because we're building relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't become, the next sensation without building all those relationships to get you there.
Mm-hmm.
A great case in point, one of your biggest fans over there at Punisher, Nicole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
I had a call made for her that needed to get there by tomorrow. It left Texas yesterday. It was one call. No CNC machinist in their right mind is going to answer the phone and build you one call. The amount of time it takes them to retool a machine to run your program, it's labor intensive. Now, It doesn't take hours, but if it takes 20 minutes out of their day for the call, it's not profitably worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not. That call showed up UPS this morning at my door.
Wow.
Because you build relationships, right? So what some don't see is, so my call maker didn't get the good this time, but the next time he's going to get triple the good because of that relationship, right? If he goes out of the way for me, I go out of the way for him, and that's just the way life works, right?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the way it's got to work. And Dave, I know, and it's good that Rusty, because I think we may have forgotten to do this on this show, but I know you wanted to give a shout out to Nicole on the show, so go for it, buddy.
Oh, you know what? Every time we drop something, we release something. Damien, you did this last week too, but every time we drop something, we release something, she's the first one to buy it. She's the first one to like it, the first one to comment. She's sending us pictures and she's showing us like, hey, this is awesome. And hey, this would be better. And this would be, she's a great friend to have, and she's doing good, and she loves the products, and
she loves the brand, and just loves to be able to chat. She doesn't expect anything. Some of the best laughs I've had at a duck camp or at a hunting camp has been sitting with Nicole Batchel. I can tell you that. So and just so she is our biggest supporter. We could pull the numbers up right now, and there's no one that comes close to her when it comes to money spent on Punisher Waterfowl. So Nicole, I know you're going to be listening to this on Monday. So you have no idea how much it means to us, all the love. And Rusty, that is a class. That's just nothing but class on your machinist's part. And the fact that you even asked your machinist to do it, because that it's not an easy thing to do just one call. So class act on your part to even do that call. So to both of you, well done, Nicole. Love you, and we'll be seeing you for sure this fall at some point. Boys, this was, and I say it every time, I know, broken record. This is another amazing show. Rusty, you are the first repeat guest. I have no doubt in my mind that you'll be the first triple, quadruple, Sankito. Is that a word, Philly?
It is now.
Fuck yeah, it is. Fuck yeah, it is. Rusty, buddy, always a class act. I really don't have the words to express how thankful I am of what you've done for the boys, and for Dave and I, and for the brand, because you truly do believe in us, and you're doing what you can to help out, and someday I promise you that I will return the favor to you somehow, and if that means I'm slugging decoys for you for the rest of my life, then I'll do that. But I will repay you somehow. But I'm just a small fish in a big ocean right now. So, you know what? everybody. We've had a fabulous show, a lot of lessons that's been passed on, a lot of wisdom has been passed on, and it's nothing to do with us thinking that we are anything special. It's just us having the experience and having dealt with assholes and have dealt with those people in our life, and we made the same mistakes, or some of us did. I know I made some of those mistakes. And it took some really good friends to sort of put me on the straight and narrow, and that's all we're really trying to do here with all our listeners. Listen to us. If you don't want to listen to us or you don't want to take our advice, we don't care. We're not going to lose any sleep over it. But you'll probably be liked a little bit more in the parking lot of the duck blind. To Mr. Rusty Heron, I think, best goose calls on the market right now. Fight me if you disagree with it. And when this drops, you will have your chance to be able to own one of those things. And Rusty alluded to it. Sorry, fellas, I'm rambling here, but Rusty and I cannot blow a goose call. And Ryan and anybody that's on this show right now can attest to the fact that I cannot blow a goose call. So,
but my God, you've tried hard.
But yeah, but Rusty and I will be doing this. We'll be doing a series, and we'll break it down right from the beginning, right till the end. And if you're interested and you want to come in and join on and be part of this, I think it'd be unbelievable. And just remember, you're going to be learning from one of the best. So, boys, amazing show. Around the table once more. Rusty, I'll give you the last word. Ryan, go for it, bud.
Thanks again, Rusty. Just incredible generosity on your part. I'm so excited. I have a little 4-year-old boy. Every time I come into the basement and I try to run a call for practice, he flies down the stairs and he wants to blow. So as soon as that shows up here, I'll definitely send you a video of him running around the house tormenting his mother with it. So I'm sure you'll appreciate it. And thanks for coming on, man. It's good to catch up and chat with you again.
Mark.
Rusty, I don't even know what to say. I'm still speechless about this. Really appreciate you coming back on, and what you did tonight was amazing. I've seen that. I guess we talked to each other, but that post you did on Call Nuts about the charity that set of calls, that was unreal, man. When I seen that, I thought that was amazing in itself. And the fact that you managed to raise, was it $1,400 US?
Yeah.
Over one set of calls. That was amazing for what you did there. Run it by me again. What was that for?
So a really good friend of mine in Northern Illinois, his daughter has cystic fibrosis. So he's run a fundraising effort since she was a little kid there. And it used to be a calling contest. Then it turned into a hunt. And now it's a big barbecue and a hunt. And because of the border being closed, I couldn't go down this year. And so the money this year, she's in her early 20s, which if anybody knows CF, I mean, you don't want to get older with CF because it's just not good. The medical bills really start to mount. And he works for himself, and health insurance in the United States isn't cheap. So this year, the money's just going to pad her medical fund to give her the best care possible moving forward, because she is one of the rare forms of CF, and they haven't found any cures for it yet. So all we can do is cross our fingers and keep praying for her. Little Livy.
2 thumbs up, man.
Yeah.
Well done.
Sending nothing but big love. Philly.
Rusty, just keep doing what you're doing, man. We appreciate it.
Yeah, hold it together there, Phil. Hold it together, buddy. Love you. Dave?
Man, I can't say enough, Rusty, but to everybody listening, let's all start being better people. Invite someone you don't know or someone that you haven't hunted with for a while out for a hunt this year. We're going to be, as Phil said, we're going to be 2 days into the season when this video drops. Like, everyone, just be better people. Let's go. Ross, I appreciate everything you've done for us, and hopefully within the next 10 years I have my first call made to send you that's actually worthwhile.
Last words to you, Rusty, my man, because I cannot say any more thank yous. You know exactly how I feel. Rusty, last word to you, buddy.
Well, the thank yous mean a lot. I want you guys to know that this is about friendships, nothing more. It's not about any financial gain, none of that. And you guys know that. So this is just my way of saying thank you. Damien, you touched on something. You said, I don't know how to goose call. But that's where you're wrong. You don't know how to goose call yet. It's coming. Here's the one tiny little tidbit I'm going to exit with. And this doesn't make me a hero. This makes me identical to everybody else. Young Rusty Heron spent 2 years trying to make one note out of one of these things and couldn't. All it takes is somebody to put their arm around you and say, hey, kid, let's go. This is how it's done. And that's what we're going to do with this series. We're going to put our arms around as many people want to listen. Mm-hmm. And we're going to make them goose colors. If you can take a pair of glasses and fog it up, I guarantee you I can teach you how to goose call in under 10 minutes. You might not be a world champion, but you'll be on your way to being one if that's what you truly want. So, guys, it was my pleasure to spend time with you all this evening. To the people that are going to get online and want to get them a 0430 Punisher waterfowl call, just know that outside of family and friends, this is my life. And I pour every ounce of energy I can into this. And all I really want is one day I'm not going to be here anymore. And I want people to still be able to take me hunting. And a call like this with a little bit of care, you'll pass it down to your great-great-grandkids. And that means the world to me. You guys all have a great night.
Cheers.
Awesome words to end with. And I just want to add on, if you do not make it to the 10 calls that we have, Rusty has a whole pile of them, and there's no difference. So reach out to Rusty and buy every goddamn call that he's got. Please, because he's been nothing but awesome to us. And show some love. And make sure you tell him that you listen. There you go, look. So there's no shortage of calls. You may not get in on the 10 that we're selling right now, but Rusty will hook you up, trust me. Everybody, like Dave said, try to be better people. Surround yourself with good people and be fucking thankful for what we've got. And that may sound a little bit preachy, but it is. And the older you get, the more you'll come to appreciate that. Big love to everybody. Be safe. Everybody that's hitting out on the blinds tomorrow morning, next weekend, the week after, whenever. Be safe. Look after one another. Last thing we need to hear is any tragedies on social media. Big love. Thanks for doing this, everybody. Next week. Can't wait to see you.